Okay, folks, welcome. This is Mr. E with another Talk to the Hand episode where the hand does the teaching. Today we are starting pillar number 2. Okay, but real quick, if I had to review pillar number 1, what it was about, it would be this: the real number system. This picture would say it all. Okay, you have to know the difference between rational and irrational numbers. Okay. That's literally in the vocabulary there. You'd have to know that irrational numbers probably look like this. A lot of square root problems and never-ending decimals. And then over here in irrational, the worst you have is really a long decimal or a repeating decimal. That's the funniest looking number. But basically, irrational numbers, any number you could turn into a fraction. Okay, that was the lesson. All right, let's put that aside and let us begin pillar 2. Oh, by the way, I forgot to show this part, Mr. E, Algebra. All right, this is where you are at now, pillar 2. Okay, what is pillar 2 about? Well, funny enough, we have this nice little illustration and one word, functions. Okay, and functions can help us basically use math in real world situations. Okay, but in order for us to use math in real world situations, we need to know how to turn real world situations into numbers and functions. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. All right, what is a function? It is a set of ordered pairs. So not only are we turning it into numbers, but pairs of numbers. Okay, then we could work with it. And the initial pair of numbers is, the initial number is called the input. And then after we do something mathematically to it, we see what it spits out, and that becomes the output. So those becomes keywords, input, output. You could also use a table to see these values. You don't have to use the ordered pairs, and a table works good. Table leads to a graph. And what you must understand, okay, understand usually means this is the test. This is what they're going to test you. What is a function? Maybe just want to memorize this definition. A function is a rule that assigns each input exactly one output. Okay, I know we don't think of rules as handy things, but a function is a rule, and it is handy. And it basically follows one rule, which is this: each input has exactly one output. You just memorize that. Each input, exactly one output. We'll do that in a minute. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and skip the coordinate plane info. And this is what I'm going to use right here. Okay, so bear with me while I set this up. And I had already practiced, so here it goes. Functions. And we said we're going to use real world scenarios. Okay, so the real world scenario that we have right now is a food menu. Okay, we're going to pretend you're at the beach. Enjoy that thought for a second. And there's a menu. You get hungry around lunchtime after serving. Hamburger, $3. Pizza, $2. What else do they sell at the beach? Let's just say a simple sandwich, but that's $4. It's a little more expensive. Boom, you have a menu. That's a real world situation. How can we turn that into a function or a math problem? Well, very simple. We have a number there, so let's start with that. Okay, we have a number, $3. Okay, 3.0. Let's just go with 3. Okay, and forget the dollar sign. We just need the number. Okay, and you notice I put these parentheses and a comma. That's part of our ordered pair. And so we need another number if we're going to have a pair. So we have to come up with another number, and there is an invisible number here. What that is telling me is that one hamburger costs $3. Okay, so I'm going to put one hamburger equals $3. You with me so far? How much would 2 hamburgers cost? obviously $6. 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, how much would 3 hamburgers cost? Let's say you have 3 friends and you're real generous. 3 times 3 is 9. What do I have here? I have ordered pairs. Do I have a pattern? 3, 6, 9. I do. That means it's probably a function. Do I have an input and output? Yes. Input is the number 1, then it's 3. If I put 2 in the function, it's going to give me 6. If I put 3 in the function, it's going to give me 9. Another word for function would be formula or the rule. Okay? You could probably think of what the rule is, right? Which is your input times 3 will give you the output. That's the rule. That's a very simple rule. I know what you're saying though. What if you say, oh, you just got lucky? Okay, that you can do with hamburger. Okay. But do we do it with pizza? Let's see, pizza's $2, so 1 pizza's $2, 2 pizzas $4, 3 pizzas is $6. Boom. What do we have here? Ordered pairs. Do we have a pattern? Let's see, 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6. I think we have a pattern. Okay, what's this pattern? It is basically times 2. Okay, it's not plus 2, even though it looks like it. But if we did 3 plus 2, we'd get 5. So you gotta be careful with that. Okay, the 2's are tricky that way. They work with addition sometimes, but, but you gotta be careful. This pattern would be 1 times 2. We put in a number, times 2 gives us this number 2. Start with a number, 2 people, times 2 gives us 4. And this is the price. Who would normally do this work? The computer. The cash register, you're putting in how much, 3, and then you press a hamburger button. The hamburger button is tied to the price of it. Somebody has put in the price as $3, and the computer calculates this, okay? But how do you train the computer to calculate it? You have to feed it at least this information and at least this, what the rule is. Okay, multiply the number I tell you of people, and then the item that it is, hamburger or pizza, that price, multiply the number by that price, and boom, you get my total answer. And then you would have to say add tax plus 7% of $6, and then you total that. So you can see how you're basically just following instructions that you would give a computer. And if you think of it like that, it might be helpful. Okay? That is essentially what functions are. I'm going to stop it right here because that should be nice and clear for you. And then we will go on with the next lesson. Actually, hold on. There was one thing I forgot. One very important thing. Let's write out this rule just so we have it there. So our input, well, let's write a function the way it normally would be written. And this gets to the next lesson, but it has weird notation. F of x equals, okay, input is normally an x, okay? And we would say times 3 for this function. And then plus 0. We're not adding the tax in this example. That would be how you write a function. And yes, it looks a little daunting. Could we write another way? Yes, we could. We could just say y equals 3x. We could do that. That's a bit simpler, yeah? Okay, meaning it all starts here, believe it or not. You have a number, you multiply by 3, and it spits out the answer. That is, this becomes f of x is really pointing to this, believe it or not. This says function of an input. This really is the function of an input. This tells you what to do to a number. It just so happens in this case, it's multiply. So there's not really a lot of science behind it. You know how to multiply, okay? But that's all we're doing to the number. It could be, multiply this, then add that, then subtract this. It could get complicated, and then our function would be, something like this, a real long line. And it gets even to the point of an algorithm, which is what Google uses. Okay, how popular is this page? Who saw it last? How relevant is it government? And you have all these things that you consider. But it could be just as easy as, look, get the number, multiply by 3, spit out an answer. This is your output. okay? So think of the X as input, F stands for function. But yes, you could replace that whole thing with just the letter Y, meaning all this is going to give me an output. It's going to give me an answer, okay? And then the function gets moved over here, okay? So how else could you say it? Well, in your mind, you would probably just say 3 times number of people gives me cost, okay? That's how you would think of it. But if you write it out mathematically, this is how you would write it. So therefore, that's how we turn a real world scenario into a math problem, okay? You sort of take the situation and you put it into a formula, a predefined formula, okay? That is the end of the lesson. Oh, and one more thing. When you have the ordered pairs, this comes up in tests all the time. It'll say, is this a function? You're supposed to be able to tell by just looking at this. What do you look at? I'll give you a hint before. Patterns is one thing, 2, 4, 6. And you got to look at this side too, that, hey, this pattern kind of follows this pattern. You know, you could see a pattern between the two numbers. But what you're really looking for is that the X does not repeat. Okay, I will say that again. You're looking for X does not repeat. Why is that important? Ooh, my handwriting is getting bad. It's time to end. Because we said at the very beginning, what is a function? A function is a rule that assigns exactly each input exactly one output. So each input has to have one output. You don't have 2 inputs with one output. That does not exist, okay? You basically have to have 1 input, 1 output. So you should not see a repeating number, all right? Bam, Mr. E out.